Alrighty. Sorry, that was it took me slightly longer to get set up. In my defense, I'm trying to get used to wearing a wig again. But yep, speaking of, how's it going? Wow. Really overdid it with the food colouring in my mouth there. Okay, that should clear up in a bit. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone had a good weekend. So yep, cosplay news. I basically got this mould for my horn bases finished. So the larger ring is just the support, so that won't be actually part of the prosthetic, which is just there you go, just this sort of inner ring. And yeah, just need to fill that with encapsulation and pour in the silicone, and hopefully I'll have some bases for my sort of foam horns, which will look way better than these ones. Although I do kind of like the cartoon look. Anyways, let's just get to the game. Hey Willow, do you want to shout out? I can't remember if you stream or not, per se. Nillis? Oh my god, it's just a hut. Wow, Nillis just can't tell tieflings apart. Okay, you don't, that's fair enough. Yeah, I couldn't quite remember if you stream or not. Willow, tiefling blindness, exactly. Nullis, you just added a CR12 creature to the party in your one-player D&D game, and you brought a glow-in-the-dark Hawaiian shirt for $10. How'd my weekend go? Well, I had my last day of work before, like, 2 weeks, and now I can basically do what I want for 2 weeks. So I'm going to do boring adult stuff like get my car sorted and send the DWP various documents they've been asking for. You know, fun stuff. And also I'm going to do cosplay stuff, because the world's powerless to stop me. Okay, cool. Can switch my preview off. Oh yeah. What I'm very excited about is obviously I've finally got the Girl by Moonlight actual play sort of partially up and running. Obviously we had a session 0 on Friday, and that was streamed, but we didn't quite finish everything, so we're just gonna finish up that off stream and hopefully announce the first session soon. But yeah, episode 3, The Adventure of the Runaway Rum.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner.
Yep, exactly,
My
Nellis.
friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident,
I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude.
the beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together.
Loving these animated cutscenes.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
And yeah, Nellis, your character's missing a few
I've never seen
ingredients.
such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
Brian's Coco. Oh, the best in London, apparently. Exactly, Willow.
I feel like
Full
I'm
animation.
dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
Just get out while you still can, kid.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure.
I don't know if cabbies have ever actually looked like that.
You're, visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
Yep, this is how we actually talk to visiting students. Notice, still kind of wild to see those in an Ace Attorney game. Yeah, exactly. Notice this guy looks like the gentle thief from My Hero Academia. Willow, London. Exactly. Oh yeah, another thing I've been doing recently, Pixels basically coerced me into watching The Owl House, so now it lives in my head rent-free. I finished watching the first season yesterday, in fact. Oh, icky! It's Brie, and it has been for 48 months now. 48 months. That's just 2 off 50, which is like half a century if you do it in months instead of years. Thanks so much. Oh yeah, where were we? 18th February, 9:21 AM, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. How's your weekend been? What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. There's some stone buildings just like this in Japan now, of course, but they've only been built in a few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this is quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. Notice, this is where you fight that doll or something, right? Oh yeah. Like, living in Britain is basically just like Bloodborne. Everyone fears going to sleep, and you know, if you go down the street you have to fight half a dozen people with pitchforks. Icky, weekend good? You managed to start having a little clear out so you feel accomplished? How be thee? Well, I'm pretty good. I mean, I've done a bit more styling on this wig. Still not quite where I want it. Like, there's a lot of bulk back here, so I need to see if I can work that up a bit so it fits my head a bit neater. And obviously the ponytail's huge, so I don't know how I feel about that. But you know, it's nice to have a wig that's bulkier because obviously it's easy to remove material. And, well, as I was saying earlier when I started, I have the mould for my horns. So yeah, hopefully that'll be done soon. After that I want to do some ears. So those will be fun to make. I mean, I've done them before, but like I've never sort of made a proper mould for them. And also I've sort of tidied up my sewing area slightly. So hopefully I'll be able to get some sewing done too. Kind of want to just make a jacket, just to get myself back into the swing of things. Below you might get stabbed, yeah. Exactly. Like Saturday night when I'm on the way from home, I just drop from work, because I work retail obviously and I finish late on Saturdays. I usually just drive straight home, don't stop at... Well, it's not that dangerous really, but you know, I'd rather just not deal with people while they're out in the town. I'm probably a bit drunk by that point. Like, to be fair, the kind of person who'll start a fight, they're probably as much a danger to themselves as others. And to be honest, I think it's overblown, but yeah, there's definitely a bit of an issue of drinking culture around here. Anyway, back to cheerful things. Yeah, as I was saying, Pixel basically got me to watch The Owl House, so that's in my head rent-free. Like, if there was ever a show I wish I could just rip open a time portal and send it to myself as a teenager, that'll be it. And, you know, it's a space fiction comedy, dramedy about someone who doesn't fit in very well in modern Earth and gets sent to another world full of strange and dangerous creatures, but adapts remarkably well. And is actually quite happy about it, with a hidden sort of a symbolic language that the viewers translated on their own. And, you know, if I had a penny every time that happened, and of course I'm probably going to be emotionally devastated when I get to the end of it because it's been cancelled, but, you know, if I had a penny every time that happened, I'd have 2 pennies. And that's not a lot, but it's kind of wild it happened twice. Okay, you get that dangerous part of it, but dealing with drunk people is another, also big part of it. Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously, there's not an insignificant number of people who just might want to attack someone for being openly trans because for whatever reason that might make them feel powerful, but not so many as you'd think. And, you know, the kind of person who's starting fights with random strangers probably wants someone a bit more imposing to start something with. Okay. A far cry from the wooden paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. But I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. Yeah, you know, I think the most complicated thing about living in Britain is how every building has to have those gears. They're such a nuisance to, you know, just a nuisance to oil all the time. What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office. Naruhodo-san. Try and get that pronunciation right. In the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here this time. If circumstances were different, we're supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. But Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we're here in a different capacity, as envoys, to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So, we'd have to return to Japan. If you want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for the study tour. Yes, which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer. Notice? Hey, guessing Naruto's name. I'm trying. Oh, wait, I messed up then. Sorry. Naruhodo. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Okay. I can do this. Which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here. To have you officially recognised as a lawyer. It's the only way that we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Yep, I'm sure he'll fail, and you know, that'll be it. This is the last chapter and it's very short. Good morning. Sorry for keeping you. trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Well, at least he knows. Yep, that's a lot of guy. He kind of reminds me of, what's his name from, the first season of Critical Role? You know, the one with the glasses and the gun. He was clearly supposed to be a gunslinger in Pathfinder. Because, I'm vaguely aware that it was originally a Pathfinder game, and they switched to 5th edition for the actual show. Oh yeah, he does kind of look like Gant as well, from the first game. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. How fortunate. No less you sort of remember the Critical Role guy from Scatter's clips you saw. Yeah, I need to get back to watching the 2nd and 3rd season of that. Like, I guess the 3rd season was basically his whole arc, so he probably won't be as prominent. But I've always got a soft spot for, you know, people with guns in fantasy settings. So, introductions. I'm Mal Strongheart. Oh, like Malstrong. Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. Yeah, and I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot. Come on, Mr. Neruhodo, don't be a mouse. Oh, it's an honour to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryanosuke Naruhodo, from the Empire of Japan. Nailed it. Well, Mr. Neruhodo, welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Yes, thank you. Okay then. Let's talk to the Londoner about London. So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Oh, help. I've been so nervous ever since I got here, I can't remember a single thing about the city. Well, the cabbies wear a nice shade of green. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh. We had a wonderful view of some of London's streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything's so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, and even cables supplying electricity. We spearheaded every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visit to London is astounded. Oh yes, astounded is the word. Thanks for saving me there, Suzato-san. And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigour. And that's how you know this is a fictional version of London. Yes. There's much excitement about the the upcoming Great Expedition we will be hosting here in London. Great Expedition? Oh yeah, that was an actual thing that happened. The, Crystal Palace was built specifically for it. Even though by modern standards it looks kind of like a greenhouse. Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and it will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the centre of the modern world. Even if you do say so yourself. The sun will never set on our great empire. Yeah, about that. Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Okay, law student. Lord Chief Justice. I think you're expecting a student of law for this study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. Mr. Kazuma Asogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. That saves a lot of time. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. Hey Nick, how's it going? Nick was streaming some Helldivers earlier on Discord. Oh yeah, and he was playing Among Us with some other regulars the other day. Good, made some bread and it turned out well. Oh yeah, I saw the pictures in Discord. It's so perfectly round. How did Girl by Moonlight Session 0 go? There were some technical difficulties. Namely, Discord crashed like halfway through. And we sort of ended up running late and didn't quite get all of the world building done. But you know, we managed to get the sort of line sorted out and all the other sort of important stuff, so we're just going to finish that stuff off stream and get organised. One thing I really, if nothing else, I'm kind of happy with the map I made for it. And that's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived. Oh, thanks, Nick. Yeah, I literally spent like 3 hours in dungeon draft, making it that morning. Nick, hair's looking awesome today. Oh, thank you. I've sort of gone over the wig a bit. It's not quite styled how I want it, like there's a lot of bulk back here. But yeah, hopefully after I've done another run of it, it should be close to how I want it. Oh yeah, and I've been this is the third time I've showed it off, but the mould for the horn base is made. So yeah, I just need to clean that up. Yeah, the player sort of decided the sort of overall theme is going to be some sort of ancient, well, a conspiracy is basically trying to exploit the city, sort of trying to pull people towards a sort of nostalgic past, which is keeping everything stagnated. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Yeah, after I've done the horns, I'm going to go back and make some ears. Like, I'll create a mould so I can make them as easy as I make these latex horns now. And I'll probably, actually colour the latex for that to make it easier. And just, generally improve my workflow for prosthetics. And then also I've actually tidied up my sewing stuff, so I'm going to be able to make some jackets. It's been a while. My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honoured this appointment specifically to inform me of the news. Yes. We're here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me you Japanese are a people of protocol and courtesy. I see that that is true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If you would just hear us out, Lord Strangheart. What do you have to say, madam? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal. Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo. This is it then. The moment of truth. Continuing the study tour. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead. Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead, but without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean. Is there something I don't know? Are there lawyers creeping about at our walls? This is terrifying. Notice the wig does strike you as a bit palette swap Samus, although there's probably differences you can't spot. Well, to be fair, the wig is based on the hair I was wearing, which is itself me sort of copying Samus Aran's hairstyle as best I could with my actual hair, so there's sort of a direct lineage there. Yeah, I might actually get this wig in like just blonde whenever I want to cosplay Samus again, because obviously I kind of prefer my hair purple, and it's been a while since I've had it bleached anyway. Icky, you mean the whole cam feed is a palette swap Samus? I'll take that as a compliment, Icky. To be fair, I have played at least one D&D character who was basically Samus but a tiefling. Nullis at Nick. Guess what you just added to the party in your D&D game? Oh yeah. Like, what do you say, like CR12? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country, and that was Mr. Asogi. At least, that is what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. Icky, you like the at least in that sentence, leaving room for more of those characters. Yeah, like Pixel speculating that now I've been exposed to the Owl House, that's going to influence the character I create, but the entire reason he sort of had me watch it was because I was basically Fee, my Guild of Icons Adventures character, is basically Luz, the protagonist, and I feel very called out there. I just can't seem to find the right words to say this to this man. Mr. Naruhodo, I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I going to say? If there's someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's... Savey save? Okay, so I've got to say... It's me. It's me. I can do it. Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but... No qualifications, you say? And yet you still claim to be a lawyer. I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. And I had Kazuma to help me. And I was the accused, but glossing over the details. Notice the creature you added to the party was a bone claw. Bloody hell. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learnt all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Barrier. The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, but you must complete several years of training. I realise it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Icky, let me see what you have. A bone claw! No! Kazuma, Mr. Asagi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on this study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set to me. Just one chance, that's all I'm asking for. Please. 31 seconds. Sorry? Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks. So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? But let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes? You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asugi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path? Well, yes, that's my intention. I see. Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction of a second there for a sudden? Wow, completely full of reading that. Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you. Really? No, I was joking. Piss off. Game's over. Okay, test. Notice, the Bone Claw prioritizes protecting his master, who's very aware of him, but has no idea what he is, over the rest of the party. And if she either dies or has her alignment changed from evil, he goes poof. Okay, so what? This is like a one-player campaign with an evil character. That's kind of cool. So, what form will the test take exactly? Tell me, Mr. Naruto. What do you consider the role of a lawyer to be? Well, defending people, of course. Well said. So, let's have you defend someone. Huh? Notice, you're distracted, what'd you miss? Okay, so basically the protagonist is trying to convince the Lord Chief Justice to let him take his dead friend's place on the study tour, even though he's not technically qualified as a lawyer. So yeah, it looks like we're going to have to defend someone in court to prove we can defend people in court. Which way, makes sense. Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defence as yet, so this will be welcoming news. Today? Straight away? If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler? How do I get myself into these situations? Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart? Yes, good question. I remember. It's a murder trial. A murder? An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose. That's easy to say. But I should mention, just in case, if the defendant is found guilty, he will be, of course, be sentenced to capital punishment. Capital punishment? He'll be put to death. So, fun fact, the last execution in Britain, which is also the reason the death penalty was abolished, was actually of a, basically an 18-year-old man who apparently had some sort of learning difficulty, and his, had an accomplice who shot someone, but said accomplice was 17, so he wasn't punished. And basically the entire case came down to the executed person basically said, let him have it, referring to the accomplice's gun, and the entire argument was whether he meant hand over the gun or let him have it, as in, let him have it. And, in the end, everyone, the public opinion was that the guilty verdict was not acceptable, and that's why the death penalty ended up abolished in Britain. Notice the one player is playing a cleric, and the Bone Claw's master is a teenager, so you don't think her turning to the light or whatever is completely out of the question. Icky? Oh no, not punishment. Oh, I see what you did there. You put punishment in all caps. Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably you read that much in your short, tea-based introduction to British law. To be fair, so is anyone who steals anything over a certain amount of money. Although, to be fair, The lesser sentence of transportation is just around the corner. We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life. I am the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? He clearly can. There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose. So the defendant may live or die, depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged. Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. Nick, we used to have zero tolerance punishment system, and that's how we learned. And that's how we all learned that when the punishment for a minor crime is death, there's literally no reason to do whatever it takes to avoid capture, including killing people. Exactly. Yep, top minds in the past. Oh yeah, fun fact, Britain's last hangman basically resigned when he wasn't paid his fee for the last, after the what would have been the last ever execution was called off at the last moment. Notice there's also at least one NPC they can meet in Avernus who will absolutely know what a bone claw is, and will probably tell for the lols. Just for the class, what is a bone claw? And if you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi, I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen. He is testing my resolve. What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be? What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? Yes, because I want to play a freaking game. Alright then. If I have to give you a decision now, my answer is... I can't do it. I can't get the words out. 15 seconds. Your decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. So, it's as I suspected, is it? Sorry? You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naruhodo? I'm sorry, Miss Susalso, but what could I do? The Lich, basically a wizard who fails becoming a lich, can instead become a tall skeleton with stabby claws that bonds itself to the will of a random evil humanoid, who can be an adult or a particularly nasty child. Ah. It's alright. I understand. You do? Yeah, you suck. Icky, not to mention we had constructed malice at the time, aka it's easier to charge people with murder instead of manslaughter this way. Oh yeah. Yeah, and obviously the case I mentioned was very similar to what in America is called felony murder, wherein if anyone who is insisting with a felony where someone dies is guilty of murder, no matter the circumstances. So, for example, an American police officer can shoot someone dead, and then anyone who they deem an accomplice to the person they shot can be tried for their murder, which is Nullis Diaz, the teenager, has been depending on the pointy the bone claw for most of her life. Oh yeah, so it's kind of like a really effed up version of a grey render, is it called? It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, but resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it. What are you trying to say, madam? I agree, Icky. Pointy's a great name. I think what Mrs. Atto means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognised as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. Notice you don't know that one, but in your own head you drew some comparison to Lilo and Stitch the other night. Yeah, basically the Grey Render is like a true neutral giant predator, which randomly bonds to randomly bonds to an abandoned humanoid and becomes its protector. It's all very like an effed up carnivorous version of My Neighbor Totoro. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, was there something else? It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time. But I just said that I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him. What? At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He'll receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down. But that's awful. I'm effing at my throat back doing this guy's voice. But that is the truth. Why does it have to be like this? Please don't expect an answer to every question. Also, at some point, Diasa got a hat of disguise for Pointy, who is large, so he's got an illusion making him look like an ogre. Probably still not that welcome in towns, but probably better than a giant pointy skeleton. The whole cold hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you. I'm really his only hope. So, what do you say now, madam? Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely a simple matter of resolve. Oh. Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves. He's gone. The Old Bailey. Okay. If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. Let's go then. February, 9:45 AM, the Old Bailey. Defendant's antechamber. Oh, thank goodness, we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose. Did you hear what I said to the driver when he climbed aboard? Guess us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver. And there's a guinea in the boot for you. Nillis, you love putting hats on disguising creatures who shouldn't be wearing one, but could potentially use it. The Avernus module has an NPC who has a spine devil with him as a bodyguard. Just openly. Your first try running the module, you gave the devil a hat, so she looked like a halfling. The illusion changed her wings to a ragged cape and her tail to a loop of rope. Okay, that's kind of neat. It's one of my favourite lines from the Herlock Sholmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly. I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay gold for the privilege. Yep, so a guinea, for those who don't know, is worth a little bit more than a pound, which itself was originally basically gold equal to the value of a pound of silver. Although I think by this point in history, it had been sort of don't know, were they literally made of gold? Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yes, I suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all. Is he one of the guards? They look sus. So this is the Old Bailey. Even this room for defendants to wait in is grand. Are you right, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed. Oh, we're being raided by Mended Pearl. How's it going? Nellis, your favourite part is when the creature enters combat and starts doing stuff that makes the illusion struggle to keep the lie going. It tries to change his claws to weird swords. That is kind of neat. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3, an excellent choice. I'll be streaming some of that myself tomorrow. How'd it go? Oh yep, hi by the way, I'm BisectedBrioche. I'm a Transform streamer. I play through single player games. Occasionally I cosplay, hence the tiefling outfit right now. And right now I'm playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Yep, pretty well. We've started chapter 3. Long story short, the main character, who's basically Phoenix Wright, from the sort of original game's ancestor, has sort of stowed away on a ship to accompany his best friend, who's a lawyer who was supposed to be studying in Britain. But his friend died on the trip over. That was the second case. And basically he's trying to become a replacement lawyer, so the trip can still go ahead. Yeah, whoever the man you defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment. Okay, I'm not going to try and do an Irish accent. Mainly because I'm pretty sure Pixel and Owl would kill me. Top of the morning to you, madam. Sir. Oh wait, no, it's supposed to be like a... Okay, it's more of a northern accent. That can do. What you just doing following me here? Things are very desperate, aren't they? Sorry. Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the East, yes? We're from Japan, yeah. Japan is it? Right, say no more. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, how much do you need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny to your name, and all while in a strange, faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. 'Tis grand, 'tis grand. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. Okay, I guess he is supposed to sound Irish. 1,000 guineas? Please, Mr. Dasso, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? 'Tis nothing to me, after all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ugh, that hit me in the eye. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving you no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. No. To be honest, it's a little embarrassing. The trial that's about to begin, you see, is for me good self here. I'll be in the dock. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial is going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up. Exactly, Nolis. Okay, Mr. Dimmadome, who'd you kill? I'm terribly sorry to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Blustering blazes? Do you not know who I am? Me? One of London's biggest names? No, sorry. We've only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. I suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park, there in the centre of London, is another beautiful park. Sorry, park? What? It is called McGilded Park, full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. Nolis Jekyll Park. I donated it to the city, I did. An entire park? In central London? A city of smiles? That's my vision for London. There's nothing Mangus McGilded wouldn't do for the city and its queer old people. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. But now they have the gall to say I'm a good to nothing criminal. Me, Mangus McGilded. What is the matter with the London police, you ask her? They're cops. Nolis, Vangus and Mangus. Exactly. Alright, don't pass out. Mr. Naruhodo? Perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves, while the gentleman catches his breath. Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best. What was I saying, you dafty idiot? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry. I know what you're thinking. This Chancellor of a fella claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well. Let's go for not at all. We've already been falsely accused twice. No, not at all. Although it is a little strange, to be honest. Why don't you have a lawyer, I mean? That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry, did you say Reaper? Hey, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Barrack van Zeeks. He's the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper. Well, Van Steek stands for the prosecution. They call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it's reached the desperate situation where there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness. Lord Barak Van Zeeks. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth?
The bailiff is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin.
Here's counsel. That'd be me. 'Tis time. Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here, I'd made my mind, so I had. Sorry. I decided to have to defend myself in there. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance. A student of the law, wouldn't you know? 'Tis no accident, I can assure you of that. 'Tis fate. So don't get cold feet now, please. I literally know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I know is that I can't just turn my back on him. He won't be ignored. Mr. Naruhodo, the man is no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Kazuma would have never allowed to happen.
Counsel for the defense, what are you doing?
No less. Lord Who is Gant. Easy case, in and out, 20-minute adventure. Exactly.
If you're late for the start of the trial, you'll lose your right to stand.
I'll be right there. It's happening then. My first trial in the British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma, because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. Yeah, Ace Attorney characters are really bad at keeping their mentors.
February, 10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom.
So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. West of the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yeah? What? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. That is the most animation. I know, but I just can't help it. Okay. The prosecutor's a vampire. Got it. And the judge is Santa Claus.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We're here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Counsel for the defense, You appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Wow. Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready, and I couldn't be further from ready if I tried.
Those eyes please me.
Okay, I'm not reading that line out.
They shroud your fear, no doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb.
A cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes.
Now, Mr. McGildild?
Yes, my lord?
You stand accused of murder, a capital offence. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty.
Exactly, Lillis. Ho 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 looking.
Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defence to this foreigner?
As I've always said, my lord, it is a grand thing to give opportunities to the young. Okay, I like this guy. Even if the fellow is a student from a little island off in the Far East, is it not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Listen to Mr. McGilded. What a fine London gentleman. Did you hear you donated £5,000 to the government the other day? Mother, please may we go and play in McGilded Park? It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news. And he certainly has a way with words. Okay, what, is there going to be a plot twist that he's actually guilty? I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him.
Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to
Is that guy in the middle playing with a knife?
Yes, my lord, if the task at hand is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Any criminals? Well, here will be soon wishing they never set eyes on me.
I feel a chill.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson. Now, Mr. Naruto, these people are... Yeah, jury. Yeah, that's something we don't have in Japan yet. Iki, are Jack the Ripper references mandatory for all Victorian stories? Yes. Notice the granny did it. Yeah, they're the jury. That's right, I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendants ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view. That is of course not necessarily true because we also have, wow, completely blanking on the name. Oh yeah, you can also be tried by magistrates instead, which is just like basically 3 not quite judges. How exactly do the jurors give their verdict? Oh, fun little linguistic fact, by the way. Traditionally, when a judge hands down the death penalty, a small square of black fabric is put on over the top of their wig before they hand it down. And this actually gives, in Irish it was known as the kibosh, which I think is literally just Irish for black hat, which gives us the modern phrase, put the kibosh on something, meaning to kill it. In the sense of ending it. That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes. Prosecutor Van Deeks. My lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame. I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But I am all that I am. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity. So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware? I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years? Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Nerihode.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please.
Nellis, you've only heard put the kibosh on in one movie, and the character pronounced it kibosh. Probably mispronouncing it. He's a goofy character. It's entirely possible I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm pretty sure it's kibosh.
Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity.
We must be the only ones here who aren't aware.
The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks, known in the community as Thrice-Fired Mason.
Sorry, Thrice?
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible. The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death.
Oh yeah, great, real mystery there. Notice web search says it's kibosh. Okay, yep, it's entirely possible I don't know how to pronounce it, as with many words.
Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard. Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
The autopsy report has been entered into the court record. A report prepared by the Scotland Yard coroner. It gives the cause of death as an internal hemorrhaging as a result of a single stab wound to the abdomen. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. A photograph of the victim taken on the omnibus. The knife in his abdomen is clearly visible, but his face is partially obscured from view by an old crooked hat. Notice you're going to give me the benefit of the doubt, but I appreciate the consideration.
And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well. And these are? Good lord, is that blood, counsel? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested.
Okay, literally caught red-handed.
What? Mr. McGilde's gloves had blood on them? Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well.
The defendant's leather gloves have been entered into the court record. The leather gloves the defendant was wearing at the time of the incident. There's a blood stain on the right glove.
How did I get into this? and backed into a corner before I've even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers travelling inside his vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded. Ellipses and nuts montage. Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. The defendant, what say you? Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing. Nellis, the blood is exactly where it wouldn't be if he was holding the dagger. Unless you guess he was holding it in both hands. Maybe? Mr. McGill did. To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness. I always succumb to it. Are you claiming to have been asleep? 'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Listen, so it is, and when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I'd never laid eyes on before in my life. Now I ask yous, what's a good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to stop worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. So the blood got onto the gloves then, after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning. What? That's not all of it. Okay, I need to stretch. Okay, that's bad. There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. Order! 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 When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. Wait, how can there be witnesses if there are the only 2 people there? It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. No, listen, 1 ham sandwich. I could do with a ham sandwich right now. Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we'll hear testimony from one of these witnesses first of all. Your wish is my command. Icky, one of those bloody Skyrim chickens, the Narhawks. No, it was definitely a Skyrim horse. With all their anti-gravity abilities. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. Witnesses, your names and occupations. My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End. Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city. My name's First. Lady First. I make hats for gents. Okay, is Lady First thing going to be that he's actually a, woman dressed as a guy, or he's a trans mask guy, or Nullis, the baby-faced one, did it. Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and witnessed the aforementioned incident. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Quite right. Yes, sir. That's quite right, sir. Very well, then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Okay, witness testimony. What the witnesses saw.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it.
As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too. An ambiguous testimony, I must say. Exactly, my lord. And these men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes.
I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, counsel?
Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Why not?
Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it?
As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes.
Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. That's a very good point.
How quaint. I'd read that civilization in the Eastern nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses?
Huh?
Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you ever travelled in an omnibus?
Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning.
No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is.
What do you mean? The actual scene? How?
A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much.
Yeah.
The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building, watching, waiting for its chance.
Here? What? The entire carriage?
Bailiff. Bring forth the stricken omnibus.
Okay, I guess we're going to call the omnibus to the stand. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers.
Icky, omnibus is innocent? No less, at least the parrot could talk. It's true.
4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on top of the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and size is to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above.
A skylight. Oh.
The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. This is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight.
That makes perfect sense.
Well, counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. And that is the prosecution's wish. Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
The omnibus has been entered into the court record. The 8-seater omnibus that was the scene of the crime. There were passengers both inside the carriage and on the roof deck that night. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary.
I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Let's continue with proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel. Pray, don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of British courts cross-examination rights.
Alright, my first cross-examination in the British court. Icky, Great Britain also once dug up a dead guy and put him on trial so they could legally seize his possessions. It's true. So many centuries of, precedent. That's the word. I'll be honest, the wig's squeezing on my head a bit. Focused. Right, Yonosuke. Focus. To be fair, the same thing was done to at least one pope. And press. Oh wait, left button.
Hold it!
Yes, I think it was some time after 10, wasn't it?
Oh yes, sir, that's right, sir, yes. Ever so cold it was, freezing in fact.
And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct? Icky, the popes had to know what kind of BS they were getting themselves into. It's true.
Yes, that's right, sir.
Not all travelling in the same parts of the bus, of course, though. No.
And there were no other passengers when the incident took place? No one alighted, for example?
You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that, no, and so no one fled the scene of the crime then.
I have to say, the boss insists on it running, he does, every evening, the last bus of the day.
But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that?
Well, with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spent that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again.
Tragic.
Hold it!
And you saw them through the skylight and the roof of the carriage?
That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. There was a lamp on the inside, so I had a pretty good view. The 2 of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGildet.
Wait, are they the same height? Because I thought McGildet was short. How can you be so sure? Notice your Wi-Fi's not having a good day. Sorry to hear it.
Well, how can I put it politely? McGildet is a gentleman of rather small stature.
Oh yeah, and neither of the 2 are wearing gloves.
I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGildet. There is no room for doubt here.
Yeah, I really wish there was.
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened?
Didn't I already testify to that? Or are fair dinkum hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? No. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail of that. My lord. Juror number 3, what's the meaning of this? My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. That is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. What's happening here? Let me see. Oh yes, it seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire. Apparently, yes. White for innocent, black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. I'm beginning to think this is alternative history somehow. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean? Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Now I'm even more worried than I was before. Very well, the court acknowledges the change in the jury stands. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Nellis, why is the stenographer on the jury? I don't think she's the stenographer, I think she just brought the typewriter with her. This is a nightmare.
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was right up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then, I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly, that huge great knife.
A grim sight indeed.
Yeah, that didn't help me at all. The jury looked like they were even more convinced that my client did it than they were before. That appears to have made everyone more dubious that Mr. McGildy is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First.
Yes, sir?
Is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief. Yes, that's it. That's the very one, sir. Is that?
Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly, like a stake through the heart.
He is not beating the allegations.
That is a blade of considerable size, counsel. It is. And furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar.
Please no.
M for Magnus, perhaps. Or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there are M's everywhere. Yes. Like in Mason.
Objection! This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned.
No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel.
The murder weapon has been entered into the court record. A largest knife that was found lodged in the victim's abdomen. Its quality and fancy ornamentation suggest it must be quite valuable. My lord, if you'd forgive the interruption.
Oh, juror number 2, go on.
Mr. McGill is a pillar of society and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those within the service know we must accept hard truths.
Wait, what are you about to do?
Dispose of the rubbish. This isn't going well at all, is it?
No.
I don't wish to cause offence, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today, and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I'm now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion.
Oh dear. Not again.
That's 4 out of 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly.
We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back.
But...
Exactly, Nellis. She was actually composing her next AO3 post. Something that certainly existed in Victorian London.
Alright, I'll keep trying until I run out of cake. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Alright, so when it happened, the only 2 people in the enclosed cabin were the victim and the defendant. And, so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend do the deed.
I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here.
What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. Begilded really innocent? Or could it be?
But before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witness statements again, a little more carefully this time.
Notice, Franziska did it better. It made a noise and everything.
Huh? Okay.
Is there anything in this that contradicts that? Oh, Beppo's whip. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense for a stagecoach driver to have it. You know, since he actually needs to drive his horses. If I recall correctly, I think in the second trilogy there is flashbacks to Franziska as a child, and she does have a riding crop instead of a whip. Right, so when it happened, the only people in the enclosed cabin were the victim and the defendant. And to help me freehold people. Okay. Okay. Sat next to each other inside the bus. Is there anything that could contradict that? Nihilus, is Fairplay part horse? Why does he keep looking sideways? I guess he wants to show off his jaw. Wait. He was stabbed once. That's the contradiction. He couldn't have heard it too. I mean, he couldn't have seen it too because it had already happened.
Objection!
That reveals a damning inconsistency, that last statement.
Damning, you say? As I look at you, Cancel, I see your trembling hand, your pallid expression, and your perspiring brow. Huh? It seems to me that that is damning inconsistency. It seems to me that that is the damning inconsistency here, with the misplaced confidence in your assertion.
He has a damning tongue.
You invited it, sir.
Okay, I guess that wasn't it. Okay.
Hold it!
Did I miss something? Okay. Maybe it's the glove.
Objection!
Nope. Ooh, the judge here is savage. Okay. Hmm. PM to 11 PM. Wait.
Hold it!
Okay. Oh, yeah, if you've got a guard up, no less. I would appreciate a hint, because I'm stuck here. Unless I need to examine the, Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? The scene of a murder. It's horrible. Okay, I guess I need to do this then. And that's blood that's soaked into the seat. The victims, obviously. Yes, and the seat would clearly be visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab someone in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. This seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated here. Notice I've got to press more statements. There's a piece of evidence I don't have yet. Oh, okay. A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? Okay, this guy gets it. That's a poster for the Great Expedition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Oh, the Crystal Tower is under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzling with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Okay, what's that? Okay, it's just the light outside. It's just the side of the carriage. Oh, and that's a poster for the Great Expedition. Okay. Why are the two posters on opposite ends? Out we go. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. Resident Evil door there. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp on in the enclosed cabin, so I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Okay, back, and I guess we keep pressing.
Excuse me.
Whoops. If I may, Mr. Fairplay, what are you frolicking for now? That last statement appears to have given you pause for thought. Not really. By the way, you always seem to be looking to the side one way or another. Do you have some affliction? The Annulus? Not really. He's not really willing to say anything, it seems. None of your business anyhow.
Hold it!
Foster King? I don't know, haven't heard the word actually.
Hold it!
Yeah, she saw the exact moment it happened. Didn't I already testify to that?
Hold it!
Okay. The members of the jury are shocked as they were the first time. If this wasn't a court of law, I would have felt compelled to use a Cisato takedown for that lapse in judgment. No, I'll be more careful. As we have heard, the witness had an unfettered view of events unfolding. You think there's evidence I'm supposed to get from this I don't have yet according to the guide? What's that evidence?
Hold it!
Because I'm pressing them again, but it's not doing anything.
now. Yes, juror number 5, I do take it that you, too. As the master of London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed by one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind a little longer. Gee up now, Silver Blaze, the finish is in sight.
That's not good.
Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. This is too unkind, sir.
Which now means that 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear? What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day. It's at a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. The Gilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He's always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely. Mother, may we go to the Gilded Public Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is?
What kind of a man is he?
The philanthropist, Magnus McGilded, has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one of the very darkest of souls.
Okay, wow, you do not use that as an insult.
What?
Stone the Crows?
Mr. McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madame. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service?
You're not saying that?
The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It would come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known, that very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious!
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. While the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly, Mrs. Atto, you claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded, but where's the evidence to support your claim? Okay, there we go. This must be the evidence I need. Not beating the vampire allegations.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law. Oh, there it is. Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice. How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in an unexpectedly good humour. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. As a judicial assistant to the defence, I'm simply doing my job. What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You'll find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. Notice, I present this miserable pile of secrets. And pray forgive the disgusty of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. What? A marvellous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. The debtor's ledger has been entered into the court record. A catalogue of people who borrowed money from the defence at a high rate of interest. It includes the victim, who owed 20 guineas. Oh yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum. And the accused made it quite certain he had ample recompense. Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused. And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel. Still, maybe it's all for the best. Wait a minute. Let's think about this a little more before. I don't stand for nonsense. That was it. The last juror's decision. According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict. It's over then. There's a footnote, though. Footnote. However, the defence... All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case. Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections. Mrs. Zato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yeah? You're in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defence... What did it say next? Oh yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defence has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. Summation? Examination?
Objection!
A summation examination. From which century has that tome you've had there been resurrected? Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
What even is it, Miss Zato? This so-called summation examination. Oh, one moment and I'll read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails. No less a Dalmatian plantation, exactly. Typical Nipponese. Alright, Mr. Naruto, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, you would be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. And it says here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions. Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. Oh yeah, fun bit of a British law fact. An attorney who argues in court is called a barrister. Oh, sorry, a barrister. And an attorney who specialises in out-of-court matters like contracts and stuff is a solicitor. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use. I wonder why. Because it was very devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Still, I didn't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. Ellipses nuts. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? In a summation examination, our last possible option, do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? Assert it. The defence wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if that's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial. The defence's position is perfectly valid. The defence's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Hey? Well, I'm not, There was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they reached their decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot. This is most irregular. No mention of this was made before. I didn't really hold with all this justifying lark. And that seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then. The summation examination. No less madness. This is British law. Yeah, the same thing. I mean, yeah, basically. Defense procedure no diffracting law has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around. So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime. Okay, the jurors' contentions. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He
stoked the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far, and drawn the logical conclusion.
You can trust the guild. Fair play is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years.
Scoundrel, stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them, and use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defendant says. But then, they've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just starting what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work, then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the juror's own words to make your argument.
What do you mean?
Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they're complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down. Wait, and that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully on what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other.
I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for.
In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Okay, so I just need to work out who's contradicting the other. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off.
Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord. Still love that he's allowed to carry a sword around. Okay. Okay, him and the old lady.
Objection!
Those 2 statements are completely contradictory.
What? Explain, counsel. Post haste.
Oh dearie me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half.
What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you?
We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3.
What? Can't you see that I'm busy here?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it?
Ha! Want to test me, do you?
It was like this. Stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said.
Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony, quite true.
Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How do you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now don't move. Take a look at these two jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? Bless my stitches. What a muddle. What this tells us is there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh. But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Notice you did a paper on Sikhism once. They have a knife called a kirpan. And yeah, there is sometimes an exemption to weapon laws. Although most Sikhs usually just prefer like a brooch or something. Just because it's kind of a hassle. Or yeah, there are versions that are just basically sort of welded in place so they can't be drawn. Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. The fire budget is going through the roof. The scales? I don't believe it. Wait. Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some DV. I'm not saying that out loud. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through this? Answer me this, Doc Jinx. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What of it if the two witnesses have slightly different recollections of events? What of it? Let's say Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again, and this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. They're ready to kill each other now. Well, I have evidence for that. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? Nope, because the autopsy says he was stabbed once. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you Doc Jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You don't realise that I'm only doing my job? As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what you want to see. Literally word for word what someone says to me when I ask them Friday and they get angry about it. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw the two different moments of the same crime as proven by... Ding. And this is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once? Yeah, it's quite simple.
The victim was stabbed precisely one time, which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. Alright, I concede defeat. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. You did it. If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where you must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's a contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it.
Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
Oh. Okay, so we had 4 passengers. So that would, at 4 pence each, that would be 16. So, yeah.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
They do? Explain yourself, counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's mane and name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about.
According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question, and according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right, I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence.
That it is. A fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriages should be operated.
But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts.
Why, man? Why?
4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication... it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes. In other words, on the omnibus last night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about.
Good gracious. This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword.
The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that this trial were to end now. The news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Or he charges people extra.
Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end,
Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. We're all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Where shall I get my hands on you, Beppo?
Oh, this is very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. Exactly, Nellis. Great scales of fire.
For the love of Mort, Mike. Not you as well.
A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Nerihode. We've won.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one, and if the chap ever dares cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head.
Please tell me he's a barber. Yes, all barbers lick their knives like that.
Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue.
You're very wise and generous, Mr. Santa Claus, sir.
I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places, and call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth.
That was dramatic.
So, Lord Van Zieks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please.
He is pouring that, sir, angrily. Notice 6 guilty fires and 4 innocent fires put the scales leaning towards innocent. Someone weighted those torches weird. Well, obviously, the casting of Produce Flame obviously cancelled their previous casting out. Oh, welcome to the chat, Nidrexy. Cosplayers 10 out of 10. Thank you. I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised how much the wig added to it. But yeah, never forget the wig. Hopefully I'll have some better horns soon as well.
Having savoured the rich aroma of the Carmine contents of this hallowed chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zieks?
Is it cold in here or is it just me?
As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination, so I honour deathly silence and listen to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury.
Okay, rude.
Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle.
Oh, he took his coat off.
Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses.
Notice, Carmine, you got bugs in the wine? I get what you did there.
I trust you've heard the summation examination we've just had to endure.
Yep, it's on like Donkey Kong.
Oh, yes, sir, that I did, sir.
Of course I heard it. Oh yes, sir, I heard it.
You, sir, on the end, the coachman, I believe it's Beppo.
Yes, sir, my lord, sir.
If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury.
It's happened. An Ace Attorney character's finally been accused of perjury.
You're advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, mio dio. Oh.
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination.
Okay, here we go again. Various misgivings. Yep, surely not Beppo. He seems so cold and trustworthy. I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it, but,
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
he fiddled on the bear, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw McGillen stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Counsel, make sense of this for me, please.
The phantom 5th passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friends never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cozenage.
Oh? Beppo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster.
The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty.
You've been dishonest, coachman.
I'm sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild.
If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures.
Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please.
We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. Here we go. Okay, let's press on this then. So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only one of 2 of them inside the carriage. There was only 2 of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a 5th passenger, but as of yet, 0 evidence. And what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white, the man's guilty. Okay, I kind of like the fact that he's just literally reaching across and staring at him as closely as possible. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. Saw Mr. McGilded stabbing that man. Okay, there must be some evidence to contradict it then. Okay, could it be that, hats were hiding their faces? Murder weapon? That part of the sheep, isn't it? Oh, you're right. Are you alright, Mr. Dorito? Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like blades. Oh, those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. That's not a blade. That's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. That's blood, alright. That looks a lot like blood. It surely is blood. The victim's. An Englishman's blood looks like a Japanese man's blood. Did you think that it wouldn't? Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. An ornate letter M, and an army Mr. Magnus McGill's initial. I mean, that could be a W. It's very beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I should think. What is it? Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything. A W? Oh, I mispronounced Naruto. Sorry, Naruto again, didn't I? Sorry, Nailus. Yes, this is one of those, you know, turnabout cases. I see what you did there. I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know at all. What I'm sure of is this is an M. Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed. Notice you set the knife to one bow. What's a combo? This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside? Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you, we'll not find Mr. Shoeb's name inside. Well, let's see what we find. Nidrex, sorry, for your backseat. Well, I usually prefer to try and work things out myself first. But yeah, if I'm stuck or anything, I don't mind suggestions or anything. You've not played this game, fair enough. This is a blind playthrough anyway, so I guess we're in the same boat. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Oh. Goodness. What is it? Look at this. Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay. The witness testifying at this very moment. Oh yes, of course, the banker. What is his name in here? Oh, he borrowed 20 guineas, didn't he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible this is just a coincidence, of course. But this could be very useful information. Okay, it's been updated. Call out time, I guess. Notice you have a guide open, but if Faye gets stuck, Faye asks. Exactly. can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful about when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful as they did before. Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information. Yes, you're so right. I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of reaction among these witnesses. Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as the reason. Okay, let's try this again.
Hold it!
He hesitated. Okay, how do I press him on that? Notice you assume it still asks and not ask in that case, but you're not positive on how stuff conjugates when neopronouns are involved. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they is a singular pronoun, so it still conjugates like he or she.
Hold it!
Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. Nidrex, does the middle guy have a W on his face? The moustache? Meaningful appearance, I guess. And I just told you that I did. For flat fare of 5 pence across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Exactly, Nerlis. Wah! He's Wario. much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed, it's gone. Dead. Buried. I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place.
Hold it!
This blood-curdling sight, you mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir? A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment before his life is taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. Good gracious, really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the bank agent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, you see, and that's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw the horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. You think so, did you? You testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, did you? Notice regarding first, you looked up and you don't think he's canonically trans or anything, just cute. Okay, just wondering because of the name. You know how they like putting names here? Oh yes, that's right. You said the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose. Might have been, you know, yes. Put the cart before the horse, maybe?
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof of the deck. I expect that was me, sir. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. Okay, the name's just a politeness thing. Fair enough then. Oh, yeah, ladies first. That makes sense. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes. And the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought I did, but when I could go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Oh, look at him go.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay?
No, you listen to me.
No, unless he's not secretly a noble. I see what you did there.
I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What's the chance of that? Eh?
Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? Okay. Let's try and be contrarian. Well, it's a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of an omnibus, that is.
But peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it clear as a ball of rat's day.
Notice, ladies. I don't guess it.
This was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me, I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that all right. I'll tell you how grim it was.
Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man? Blood-soaked hands, you say? This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yep, I believe so. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Okay, that's clever. Because in the last 2 games, there were cases where someone's dominant hand came up. Pissy. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Present. Blood-soaked hands. Well, I admit that soaked might be laying us on a little thick, but
But anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar.
What?
Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh yes, right.
And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-coloured stain on there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove.
Ugh.
In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
Ugh. But, no, that can't be right.
So you're the lie here, then?
Ugh.
That's right, you're quite clear about it. You said, yeah, it was both hands.
Ugh.
Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Well, lie.
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one. But the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection.
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
Ugh. Why? I'm a Citibank, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate.
He's claiming to have no reason to lie, but is that really the case? Mr. Nride, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man has compelling reason to lie in his testimony. Oh, I have evidence, all right. My lord.
Yes, counsel?
The defense is ready to present evidence.
By Jove, you sure?
Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had a reason to lie in his testimony.
Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court.
Ding. This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded.
Yes, a list of innocent victims, crippled by the accused extortion.
The point is, among the names on the debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
No, well,
It's barely worth being called a debt.
according to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, if the creditor, the defendant here, were to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which are owed to him will be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? I guess that accusation has stuck.
Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
No less. Gutter Snipe is a fairly powerful magic card. It snipes the opponent for 2 damage when you cast anything that isn't conjuration. Okay, that is neat. I know Gutter Snipe's an insult, but I'm not sure where it comes from. Type of bird, maybe?
Yes, Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time in which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth in a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Mr. McGilda's hands. Both of them.
Objection!
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Ugh. So you keep saying. Oh, I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. No, Liz, new theory. Fair play is actually part rabbit. Go ahead, Mr. First. I certainly smell a rat. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens. Seeing what? Oh, switch voices there. The blood, sir. On the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? It would appear we're going to need further testimony from all your witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yes. Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have been shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Okay, what the witnesses really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I just sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. But I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we'd have all seen. Well, lo and behold. In truth, in fact, not one of you witnesses was the crucial moment of the crime. Not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to say we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well, your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. Okay, what are we up to, 3 hours? Yep, I think I'll do this cross-examination to see where it goes. What the witnesses really saw.
Hold it!
No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence.
He's steadfastly refusing to admit he might have been mistaken about what he saw. But why? Your reasoning is dire. One handle two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well you know. But, for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? Well, that's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the Derby. So, the Derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend, that's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10. I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work?
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too? Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilda's gloves has any signs of blood on it.
That's right.
The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilda sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves. That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-coloured stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilda's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands?
This is puzzling indeed.
This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything? Oh yes, sir, that's to say, no sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. Okay. Time for some TSAMR. No less a scroll. Dug those mess out of your catacombs, did you? Well, catacombs. This is a pretty nice berry tea. It was very wrong for me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories.
Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir. I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of the London streets, no? Oh, please, you didn't even see that? It was a cold night that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent
to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo!
Hold it!
And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus? That's right, that's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yeah, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. No, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked. That's right, and it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yeah, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just suggested they need to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down, longing into the warm cabin below. Well, I can assure you, I wasn't looking down. I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in the cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? Maybe if I... Oh wait, did I... Look up at the skylight. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes. Quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or catch of any description, so I suppose it can't be opened from the inside the cabin at least. Okay, that's a poster. This seat has a handle, it seems. Oh, hello. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubes, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. And there doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Notice, does it let you look at the top of the thing if I don't? Yeah. I can basically look around. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. Yeah, I already looked at this. Okay, there's nothing else here. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them, and they have to pay money to do so. I can't imagine how cold it must feel. And that just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as a punishment? Perhaps that's the real price you pay to stay out late.
Yeah, it does let me look at the roof as well. You can certainly see the inside of the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin, which I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. And that's not good for us. Wait. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. I see what they did there. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. As in, an omnibus. Wait. Is he going to take on the name of this bus? Okay, I don't think there's any other evidence around here. What was I trying to work out again? Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to. And now he's confirmed one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You're riding this omnibus. And the witness of the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right? That's right, yes. In that case... there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied, as at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-section plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting this potential extra passenger could have been situated?
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof facing the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin which the passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight is as I've drawn here. Oh! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that those witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Ugh.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Nudo? No, I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was outside from the witnesses on the roof deck? Who could it have been? I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name. You're a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, Cancel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... I think it was the defendant. No, this judge keeps stealing the hose out of Naruhodo's name. Damn it, sorry.
Take that!
Yeah, because if the defendant was sitting across, then someone else was the murderer. The passenger... Oh yeah, because the defendant said he reached across to the stabbed passenger. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGild. McGilded?
What are you talking about, Cancel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Damn. What's he got in there?
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks? People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see that they use the terms ill-advisedly.
What are you trying to say?
Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong.
What?
If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency, Counsel?
The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stands.
Yes, their testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. You know, I'm just realising that my webcam's been knocked to the side slightly this entire time. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was someone else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we've yet to identify, and the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party?
Obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary. Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture.
My fruit familiars have center stage. They are great. Instantly, fruit familiar was my nickname in high school.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces.
Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of... Wait, the tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though. Yeah, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to depose the facts. Unless, that is, you're proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he travelled. Well, there was a hiding place. He's right. If there was another person travelling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will already have made a full statement to the police. Notice, you think if the hatter was going to make a modern art-looking Franken hat for himself, he could at least manage to balance it so it would stay on him? Maybe that's the idea. He's just showing off how good he is at wearing hats, as well as making them. Ooh. But what if there's some reason he's unable to speak freely? Mr. Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If indeed it turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what's your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Okay, I'm gonna say yeah, we need his testimony. Nellis, you reckon if someone's going to be good at wearing hats, they can just maneuver their neck or something to keep them on rather than keep reaching up to it? Maybe he wants to show it off by adjusting it. Yeah, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Oh yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out here, I say. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favourite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Okay, what are we up to? 3.5 hours? Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
Okay, I think we'll pick this up on Wednesday. No less fear point. I do love to be feared. Okay, it's got me paranoid, so I'll just save again. Okay. Whew. So, yep, thanks for watching. We'll just see who is available to raid. And thank you for the quote, Nihilist. So, yeah, I'll be streaming more Ace Attorney on Wednesday. Tomorrow, however, I'll be streaming again. Basically, Nihilist and I will be doing a co-stream of Baldur's Gate 3. We're basically going to try rolling our characters from the Nordmark campaign. So I'll be playing Tassel, the Druid, who has a side in smuggling. And Enfys will be playing their character Imp, who's a warlock with charisma as a dump stat. They're best friends, but one may end up strangling the other. Let's see who's live. Nihilist, have a good one, friends. We return to the Dimsdale debacle. You didn't have Baldur's Gate 3. Wait, did I say... Wait, sorry, did I say Nihilist or Enfys just then? Yeah, sorry, I'm streaming with Enfys Prank tomorrow. I know my friend's handles, honest. Oh, I said you by accident first. Yeah, sorry. It's because you were both in the Girl by Moonlight stream, and that's the last time I mentioned it. Anyway, who's live? Kibasa Boy, who Mr. Blue recommended I raid at some point, but I don't know them. You know, I think we'll just raid the ducks. Dash ducks. So yeah, hopefully I'll the Baldur's Gate stream will be at 7:30 tomorrow, so starting a little later than usual. And then Ace Attorney will be a Wednesday at the usual time. And yeah, I hope everyone's had a good weekend. I hope everyone's had a good start to the week. And I hope it stays that way. Unless, of course, if you had a bad start, in which case I hope it gets better. Cosplay-wise, obviously, I'll be working on my new horns. Don't know if they'll be ready for Wednesday, but we'll see. And... yeah, not much else to say. We're going to raid in 3, 2, 1, let's go. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe. And mention your favourite colour of tiefling in the chat, I guess. You're still my favourites.